Okay, so today we will see about, we'll read about chapter 4, consistency, a state of mind. And consistency, a state of mind. I hope that after reading the first three chapters, you are getting the idea that just because you are acting in the capacity of a trader does not mean that you have learned the appropriate ways to think about what you do. As I have already stressed several times, what separates the best traders from everyone else is not what they do or when they do it, but rather how they think about what they do and how they are thinking when they do it. If your goal is to trade like a professional and be a consistent winner, then you must start from the premise that the solutions are in your mind and not in the market. Consistency is a state of mind that has at its core certain fundamental thinking strategies that are unique to trading. Experiencing a few or more winning trades can convince almost anyone that trading is easy. Recall your own experiences. Think back to those trades that brought a stream of money flowing into your account when all you had done was make a simple decision to buy or sell. Now combine the extremely positive feeling you get from winning and getting money with no effort, and it's almost impossible not to conclude that making money as a trader is easy. But if that is the case, if trading is so easy, then why is it so difficult to master? Why are so many traders at their wits' end grappling with the obvious contradiction? If it is true that trading is easy and traders know it is because they have had the direct experience of how easy and effortless it is, then how can it also be possible that they cannot make what they have learned about the markets work for them over and over again? In other words, how do we account for the contradiction between what we believe about trading and our actual trading results over time? Fine. So the author here in this entire thing is trying to tell that trading seems to be easy, and but it is not the case, right? So there are times when we do a trade and we got a lot of money coming into our account, and obviously every time we are not putting any effort, and we can always tell that trading, because of not doing anything, all we do is do a buy and sell. We tell that trading is easy. But if that is the case, then why are so many traders consistently we are making it, finding it difficult, right? And whatever we have learned again and again, we know that it is not working. Every time we make a trade, we do, our results are not always consistent. So that is the main thing. So this entire chapter, the author is trying to tell about how to consistently win. We don't want to win once or twice. What is the mindset we need to consistently win? So first we have to, we should understand that trading is not easy. We think that trading is easy, but author is trying to make a point that it is not as easy as it is. Thinking about trading, the answers are all in the way you think about it. The irony is that trading can be as much fun and as effortless as your experience of it has been on occasion, but experiencing these qualities consistently is a function of your perspective, your beliefs, your attitudes, or your mindset. Choose the term you are most comfortable with. They all refer to the same thing. Winning and consistency are states of mind in the same way that happiness, having fun, and satisfaction are states of mind. Your state of mind is a byproduct of your beliefs and attitudes. You can try to create consistency without having the appropriate beliefs and attitudes, but your results won't be any different than if you try to be happy when you're not having fun. When you're not having fun, it can be very difficult to change your perspective to one where you all of a sudden start enjoying yourself. So, in these two paragraphs, the author is telling that, how we think about trading. Okay. So, he's telling that trading could be fun. Okay. And it could be effortless. Okay. But how we make it a fun or effortless act is actually not in the trading act, but it is in our mind. Okay, that is what author is trying to tell in this particular paragraph. So we can all tell that, whatever we can tell, we have to keep winning, we have to be consistent and all these things. But they're all at the end, the states of mind. Okay, so we tell that we win, we consistently win, we are happy and all these things. And how we are, our mind behaves, that is actually what we believe and what is the attitude we have. So if we don't have that beliefs and attitudes, we will have the same result, but we will not be having fun. Okay, because our beliefs and attitudes are not in alignment with our results. We could be consistent, but our beliefs and attitudes are not. And it is like it is when you're not having fun, it can be very difficult to change your perspective. When it's like, when you are sad, at that time, all of a sudden, someone asks you to be happy. It's very difficult, right? Now I'm sad, and we want some time to come out of it. So that is what the author is trying to tell about trading. This, of course, the circumstances of your situation could suddenly shift in a way that cause you to experience joy. But then your state of mind would be the result of an external shift in conditions, not a result of an internal shift in your attitude. If you depend on outside conditions and circumstances to make you happy, so that you are always enjoying yourself, then it is extremely unlikely that you will experience happiness on a consistent basis. However, you can greatly increase the possibility of you being happy by developing fun type attitudes, and more specifically by working on neutralizing the beliefs and attitudes that prevent you from having fun or enjoying yourself. Creating consistent success as a trader works the same way. You cannot rely on the market to make you consistently successful any more than you can rely on the outside world to make you consistently happy. People who are truly happy don't have to do anything in order to be happy. They are happy people who do things. Traders who are consistently successful are consistent as a natural expression of who they are. They don't have to try to be consistent. They are consistent. This may seem like an abstract distinction, but it is vitally important that you understand the difference. Being consistent is not something you can try to be, because the very act of trying will negate your intent by mentally taking you out of the opportunity flow, making it less likely that you will win and more likely that you will lose. Your very best trades were easy and effortless. You didn't have to try to make them easy, they were easy. There was no struggle. You saw exactly what you needed to see and you acted on what you saw. You were in the moment, a part of the opportunity flow. When you are in the flow, you don't have to try, because everything you know about the market is available to you. Nothing is being blocked or hidden from your awareness, and your actions seem effortless because there is no struggle or resistance. On the other hand, having to try indicates that there is some degree of resistance or struggle. Otherwise, you would just be doing it, not have to try to be doing it. It also indicates that you're trying to get what you want from the market. While it seems natural to think this way, it is a perspective fraught with difficulties. The best traders stay in the flow because they don't try to get anything from the market. They simply make themselves available so that they can take advantage of whatever the market is offering at any given moment. There is a huge difference between the two perspectives. So far, the author is trying to this paragraph, is connecting how some people are happy and they will be happy. Okay. So That is a natural state. Similarly, the author is telling that some people are consistently successful because that is their natural state. So then it seems like an unachievable thing, right? I mean, then what if we are not born with that particular trait? So the author is again trying to tell that it is not something you try to be. It is like, when you, because when we try to be consistent, that itself will prevent us from not being successful. That is what author is telling. So whenever we made some money, whenever we did some we made some money, we actually, we know that that was easy. That was like, AI. It was like it came with it's a sure shot. And even if we something like that, we would have had that mindset. And so that is what here he says, your best trades were actually easy and effortless. So we were actually in that flow. We saw the market moving something like this. We immediately jumped into that flow and sailed along with that particular flow. Okay. But there are some trades where we are hoping, right? We might hope, oh, it should go up, it should go up. So those are all the areas we are not clear. So for example, might not have been in our location, and it would have crossed, and we will expect it to go a little bit up, so that so those are all the struggling areas, right? So this is what so here what we are doing, we are like, at least 5 points. If we get, I will get out, something like that. Those kind of attitudes. The author is telling that the best traders, they won't do that. Okay, it's like, the best traders stay in the flow because they don't try to get anything from the market. They are not trying. They are basically, they make themselves available so that they can take advantage. So some flow is there. It's not like they know the market is going in some flow and they just sail along with that. That is what author is telling. You don't push, you don't hope for the market to go in your direction. You know that the market is going in this particular trend or something. You just go in between and get whatever is there available, you get out. And that is what the author is trying to tell here. The two perspectives. They simply make themselves available so that they can take advantage of whatever the market is offering at any given moment. Okay. In chapter 3, I briefly illustrated how our minds are wired to avoid both physical and emotional pain. If you trade from the perspective of trying to get what you want or what you expect from the markets, what happens when the market does not behave in a way that will fulfill your expectations? Your mental defense mechanisms kick in to compensate for the difference between what you want and what you're not getting, so that you don't experience any emotional pain. Our minds are designed to automatically block threatening information or find a way to obscure that information in order to shield us from the emotional discomfort we naturally feel when we don't get what we want. We won't realize it in the moment, but you will pick and choose information that is consistent with what you expect so that you can maintain a pain-free state of mind. However, in the process of trying to maintain a pain-free state of mind, you also take yourself out of the opportunity flow and enter the realm of the could have, the should have, and the would have, and the if only. If only I could have done, if only I could have taken that particular trade. I should have taken this trade. I would have taken this trade, if only something like that. If only I had that particular, everything that you could have, should have, or would have recognized in the moment appeared invisible, then all becomes painfully evident after the fact, after the opportunity is long gone. To be consistent, you have to learn to think about trading in such a way that you are no longer susceptible to conscious or subconscious mental processes that cause you to obscure, block, or pick and choose information on the basis of what will make you happy, give you what you want, or avoid pain. Okay. So in this particular paragraph, the author is telling how we avoid physical pain and we avoid emotional pain. And what happens is, with this mindset, if we go and the market might not behave in the way which we want. Right? We are going in the mindset of to avoid pain. So market does not care. So what will happen is, we will immediately, to avoid the pain, we will do some confirmatory bias. Like, we might ignore certain data. We might, because some data will be telling that, say, it is like, so for example, there was one you might know that this is like, it might go, it has crossed that particular higher highs and lower lows. It might have crossed our threshold for stop loss and all these things, but we will try to avoid that information. We'll push. Let's see what happens. We'll keep pushing it. We will not be disciplined because we don't want to take that loss, because we know that if we take that loss, we are at loss. So we will not come out of that trade, losing trade. So in that moment, we will choose the information. We will tell that, oh, hey, this value is trending away is positive or something like that. But the chart will be telling, no, it's not, right? Chart will be telling something, trending away will be telling something. But we will look at the trending away and we'll be, okay, we'll wait. So this is that particular. Although it might have hit our, stop loss, we will push our stop loss further, something like that. Now, or we will have some level. So then after that, if we come out, he might come out with a huge loss. And then we would tell to ourselves, I should have exited here itself. Or if only I had been a little bit disciplined, I could have exited at that. I did not exit. No, I exited. Or the same is applicable for or buying also. Like, I should have bought at this particular thing. If only I could have, it was all telling, but I was not okay, something like that. Okay. So to be consistent, you have to learn to think about trading in such a way that you are no longer susceptible to conscious or subconscious mental processes that cause you to obscure, block, or pick and choose information on the basis of what will make you happy, give you what you want, or avoid pain. The other is telling that you have to be consistent. You should not be succumbing to our mental pains. It could be conscious pain or it could be subconscious pain. So, and because of that, what we will do, we will avoid certain things. So if I am wrong, it's wrong. If I am right, it's right. Today I was consistent. Today I was at loss, but I followed the process. That's it. That's all. So that is the rule which we have to do. And instead of we block certain information which will push our stop losses, or even though we should have taken the trade, we will not take the trade, things like that. The threat of pain, I think here it's more about the losses, because he's telling about the pain, right? So pain will come only when you are at loss. So mostly I think we can relate it with our stop loss, pushing our stop losses. The threat of pain generates fear, and fear is the source of 95% of the errors you are likely to make. Certainly, you cannot be consistent or experience a flow if you are consistently making errors. And you will make errors as long as you are afraid that what you want or what you expect won't happen. Furthermore, everything you attempt to do as a trader will be a struggle, and it will seem as if you are struggling against the market or that the market is against you personally. But the reality is that it is all taking place inside your mind. The market doesn't perceive the information it makes available. You do. If there is a struggle, it is you who are struggling against your own internal resistance, conflicts, and fears. So here the author is telling that, in this paragraph, because of the pain which we get, we will get scared. And because of we getting scared, we will make errors, right? And obviously, if you are continuously making errors, we will not be consistent, and we will not go into the flow, because every time we go, we have made errors, and So, and as long as you are afraid and that what you want or because we are scared, we know that what we think will happen will not happen. Okay. And then every trade which we do will be a struggle. And it will be like, market, we are fighting with the market against the market or something. But the reality is that market, everything is happening in our mind. We are not, the market is not, it's not, its job is not to cause you all those pain and all. It is our job. We are only creating the struggle. So we have to ground ourselves. Now you may be asking yourself, how can I think about trading in such a way that I am no longer afraid and therefore no longer susceptible to the mental processes that cause me to block, obscure, or pick and choose information? The answer is learn to accept the risk. Fantastic. So this is something which is very profound, right? There is always a risk. For example, the minute you tell that you made a loss, everybody comes and tells that, oh my God, you made a loss. You have to be careful. You have to be, oh, this is not how you should trade. You should be careful. It's okay. It's like, but the point what this author is telling that there is always a risk involved in every trade, and you should be comfortable with that. If you made a loss, if we have made a loss, that's it. You made a loss, that's it. It is something, there is always another day. We have to push ourselves up, and have to be resilient. That is part of the process. That is part of the thing which we signed up for. So if we are not ready to accept that risk, there's nothing doing. That is the only thing author is telling. He's not giving any tricks or something. There is always, every trade, there is always a probability of it going against our direction. Okay. So really understanding risk. Now he's trying to dig deeper. What is the risk here? Other than the many issues surrounding responsibility that we discussed in chapter 3, there is not anything about trading that is more central to your success and also more misunderstood than the concept of accepting the risk. As I mentioned in the first chapter, most traders erroneously assume that because they are engaged in the inherently risky activity of putting on and off trades, they are also accepting the risk. I will repeat that this assumption couldn't be further from the truth. Accepting the risk means accepting the consequences of your trades without emotional discomfort or fear. This means that you must learn how to think about trading and your relationship with the markets in such a way that the possibility of being wrong, losing, missing out, or leaving money on the table does not cause you mental defense mechanisms to kick in and take you out of the opportunity flow. It does not do you any good to take the risk of putting on a trade if you are afraid of the consequences, because your fears will act on your perception of information and your behavior in a way that will cause you to create the very experience you fear the most, the one you are trying to avoid. So the author here is telling that, he said the same thing in the first chapters. We are all uh, just because we're all trying to trade, doesn't mean that just because there is a risk involved doesn't mean that we are all risk takers. Because the author says that you don't want that pain, you're trying to avoid that pain, and there is a risk when the losses happen. You are like, you don't know uh, how to handle it, and because of that, uh, when we are wrong, right, when our it goes against our expectation, or when we lost, right, or when we are when we lost, basically wrong means you're lose, right, and then or when we don't take a trade, when you miss out, or when we come out very early, right, when we, it's like, we got 20 points, and then we see that it goes 100 points, 200 points, and maybe we'll be like, oh my God, something like that. So when that happens, how we handle our emotion. So Because when that happens, we get afraid, and because of that, what will happen? We will simply do the same error, what we are trying to avoid. Okay, why? Because when we are afraid, we will also, as he said here, we will do some cognitive biases, such that we will block some information, right? So this is what the author is trying to tell. So it doesn't do you any good to take the risk on putting the trade if you understand the consequences, afraid of the consequences, because your fears will act on your perception of information and your behavior in a way that will cause you to create the very experience we fear the most. So whatever we are trying to avoid, we will end up in that. So for example, in this case, when we should have, would have, when should have exited at 10 points or 20 points stop loss, we push it a little bit and finally it end up in 50 points, 70 points, 100 points stop loss, right? Then what will, so that is what has happened. So we should have exited earlier, but we did not. Maybe you are like, hoping, oh my God, oh my God, let me. No, that is what author is trying to tell. Try to avoid. If you are wrong, if you are quickly come out, if you are losing trades, just come out. I'm offering you a specific thinking strategy composed of a set of beliefs that will keep you focused in the moment and in the flow. With this perspective, you will not be trying to get anything from the market or to avoid anything. Rather, you will let the market unfold and you will make yourself available to take advantage of whatever situations you define as opportunities. When you make yourself available to the take advantage of an opportunity, you don't impose any kind of limitations or expectations on the market's behavior. You are perfectly satisfied to let the market do whatever it is going to do. However, in the process of doing something, the market will create certain conditions you define and perceive as opportunities. You act on those opportunities to the best of your ability, but your state of mind is not dependent upon or affected by the market's behavior. So here the author is telling that now he is going to give you a thinking strategy. Right? It is a set of beliefs. Okay. He's offering you what? A thinking strategy, which is a set of belief. You just have to blindly believe these things, whatever he's going to tell. That will keep us focused in the moment and in the flow. Okay. And in this particular thinking strategy, we will not try to get anything from the market. We will not be trying to get anything from the market, or we will not try to avoid also anything from the market. Okay. So this is very important. He's trying to tell. And instead, what will happen? We will let the market do its job, and whenever it is giving an opportunity, we will go and take advantage. Okay. So we know it is going trend, and at that particular time, we are not trying. It is giving an opportunity. We'll go and take the trade. That is what he's trying to tell. So what will happen when you make yourself available for that particular, to take advantage of that opportunity? We don't have any limitation or expectation. So whatever is market is going to do, I will follow. I will not expect the market to go up or down or something. I feel the market is going in this direction. Let me come in between. Okay. But when in the process of doing something, the market will create certain conditions that you define and perceive as opportunities. You are not. So this is what very important. The market will create the conditions, but we are only defining those as opportunities. So if it comes at some pivot points or some Camarilla R3, we are telling that that is an opportunity, right? And we act on those opportunities. Okay, but it will also fail. So that is what author is trying to tell. You act on those opportunities to the best of your ability. I will do my job well. I will only take trade when it comes to these particular levels. I will not do anything else. So, but it is not. But if it fails, totally fine. I did the right trade today. I did not take any other trade. I took at my level, and the market behaved in opposite way. I'm totally fine. I exited with a stop loss. This is what the author is trying to tell. If you can learn to create a state of mind that is not affected by the market's behavior, the struggle will cease to exist. When the internal struggle ends, everything becomes easy. At that point, you can take full advantage of your skills, analytical or otherwise, to eventually realize your potential as a trader. Here's the challenge. How do you accept the risks of trading without emotional discomfort and fear? When at the moment you perceive the risk, you simultaneously feel discomfort and fear. In other words, how do you remain confident and pain free when you're absolutely certain you can be proved wrong, lose money, miss out, or leave money on the table? As you can see, your fear and feeling of discomfort are completely justified and rational. Each of these possibilities becomes real the moment you contemplate interacting with the market. So the author is saying he's like, it is very, it's like coming to ground reality. You can tell all the things which you want, I'll be, fantastic. But even if it comes to our level, and we are still, there is a fear, right? There is a fear where it can go wrong. It can, I expected it to go up, but no, it didn't. It went down. So what will happen? So of course, what will happen? We will be proved wrong. We'll be lose money, and you will leave money on the table. And he's telling those are all your fear and discomfort at that particular time. Those are all justified, and they're all rational, right? And these probabilities, whatever we tell, it actually becomes real when we are actually trading, right? So now comes the next part. However, as true as all of these possibilities are for every trader, what is not true or the same for every trader is that what it means to be wrong, what it means to lose, what it means to miss out, or what it means to leave money on the table. Not everyone shares the same beliefs and attitudes about these possibilities, and therefore, we don't share the same emotional sensitivities. In other words, not everyone is afraid of the same things. This may seem obvious, but I assure you it is not. When we are afraid, the emotional discomfort we feel in the moment is so real that it is beyond question, and it is natural to assume that everyone shares our reality. So this is where, when that particular time, we have four things. We will be wrong. We will lose money. So this, I think the author keeps on telling these four things again and again and again and again from the beginning. Right? We can even highlight it in maybe blue. So every trade, when we take, our attitude stems from what if this trade was wrong. After that, we made the decision. Or what if we lose money after taking the trade? Or what if we miss out that opportunity by not taking the trade? Or what if we don't grab the entire profit which the market gave? So these are all the four fundamental things we keep on. How our attitude, these are all the things which check our attitude. So, and the author is telling that when this happens, not everybody is having the same kind of belief. So not everybody is having the same emotional sensitivity. Some will be like, it's okay, come on, let's they will brush it up, and some will be, they will be sad, they made lost a lot of money. Some will be like, scared, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Some will be like, I don't want to, I lost a lot of money, I will not trade hereafter. Things like that. So, and sometimes you will behave in one way for certain things. You will behave extremely bad for being losing money, or you will be contented even if you leave money on the table, right? You might have made some 20 points, market with 100 points, it's okay, you'll tell yourself, I made 20 points, that's okay, I'm content, I'm happy. But when we lose money, we will not have the same. So, but some people will be like, oh my god, I lost this money, I should have taken the 100 points, but I got only 20 points. These kind of things. So not everybody is having the same kind of emotional sensitivity for these kind of things. And it might seem obvious, but it is actually not. That is what author is trying. And when you are scared, the uh, the emotional pain which we get in that moment is actually so real that it is natural to assume that everyone shares our reality. Okay, so we feel that everybody understands. We know that everybody is looking at us, something like that. So I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I recently worked with a trader who was deathly afraid of snakes. As far as he was concerned, he had always been afraid of snakes because he could not recall a time when he was not. Now he is married and has a 3-year-old daughter. One evening, while his wife was out of town, his daughter and he were invited to a friend's house for dinner. Unbeknownst to my client, his friend's child had a pet snake. When the friend's child brought out the snake for everyone to see, my client freaked and practically leapt to the other side of the room to get as far away from the snake as possible. His daughter, on the other hand, was completely enthralled with the snake and wouldn't leave it alone. When he related this story to me, he said that he was not only shocked by the unexpected confrontation with the snake, but that he was just as shocked by his daughter's reaction. She was not afraid, and he assumed that she would be. I explained to him that his fear was so intense and his attachment to his daughter was so great that it was inconceivable to him that his daughter would not automatically share his reality about snakes. But then I pointed out there wasn't any way she could have shared his experience unless he specifically taught her to be afraid of snakes, or she had had her own painful, frightening experience. Otherwise, without anything to the contrary in her mental system, the most likely reaction to her first encounter with a living snake would be pure, unadulterated fascination. Just as my client assumed that his daughter would be afraid of snakes, most traders assume the best traders like themselves are also afraid of being wrong, losing, missing out, and leaving money on the table. They assume that the best traders somehow neutralize their fears with an inordinate amount of courage, nerves of steel, and self control. Like many other things about trading, what seems to make sense just is not the case. Certainly, anyone or all these characteristics may be present in any top trader. But what is not true is that these characteristics play any role in their superior performance. Needing courage, nerves of steel, or self control would imply an internal conflict where one force is being used to counteract the effects of the another. Any degree of struggle, trying, or fear associated with trading will take you out of the moment and flow and therefore diminish your results. So, here the author is trying to tell about how we all behave, and we all think everybody is like us, everybody behaves like us. And the author tells about the story where his friend was afraid of snake, and he took his daughter to a party. That person who was conducting a party, he brought out a pet snake. The friend ran away from that place, but his daughter was comfortably playing. And now the author is trying to explain that unless the friend has taught the daughter to be scared of snake, or if the daughter has been bitten or something like that, the natural state for them would be to fascination. Okay, so the same thing when we are wrong, when we are losing, when we are missing out, we are leaving money on the table, we we assume that when these things happen to us, we are scared. Everybody will be scared of this. Okay, and they assume that the best traders also will be having, will be afraid, right? And he tells that we think that the best traders are handling that by having some self control or courage or nerves of steel. But what will happen is, now because now with this kind of behavior, what will happen is that we will be fighting the fear. And what will happen when that happens, and it will take us out of the flow because we are fighting here, and it will and ultimately will diminish our results. This is where professional traders really separate themselves from the crowd. When you accept the risk, the way the pros do, you won't perceive anything that the market can do as threatening. If nothing is threatening, there is nothing to fear. If you are not afraid, you don't need courage. If you are not stressed, why would you need nerves of steel? And if you're not afraid of your potential to get reckless, because you have the appropriate monitoring mechanisms in place, then you have no need for self-control. Okay, so this is where he connects the trading things. Here he says, if you're not afraid, you don't have to courage. If you're not stressed, why not be nerves of steel? But and here he comes connects that with the trading. If you don't, if you're not afraid of your potential to get reckless, okay, because we have the monitoring mechanism in place, then no need to be self-control. As you contemplate the implications of what I'm saying, I want you to keep something in mind. Very few people who go into trading start out with the appropriate beliefs and attitudes about responsibility and risk. There are some who do it, but it is rare. Everyone else go through the same cycle I described in the example of novice trader. We start out carefree, then become scared, and now our fears continuously diminish our potential. So very few people come inside the trading. They actually come with the right attitude. Most of them are, we don't have the right attitude. We simply take some free random trades and we get scared, and then we continuously keep trading. The traders who break through the cycle and ultimately make it are the ones who eventually learn to stop avoiding and start embracing the responsibility and the risk. Okay, so they will this cycle of carefree and becoming scared, and we diminish our potential. The very few traders, they actually can break that cycle. Okay, and how you can break that cycle is by you should stop avoiding the risk and start embracing the responsibility of break the cycle by how you accept it. That is the previous chapter. Accept the responsibility and take responsibility and accept the risks. Previous chapter we saw about how we take responsibility. Whatever happens, we are responsible. Market is not responsible, and every time when we trade, we have to accept that there is a risk. Most of those who successfully break the cycle don't make the shift in thinking until they have experienced so much pain from large losses that it has the positive effect of stripping away their illusions about the nature of trading. Okay. So some people break it, and not by, they don't quickly break it. They experience huge loss. And because once they have experienced this huge loss, that will have what it will do, it will basically make them understand that trading is not as easy as they thought. You cannot simply come here, make slacks and lakhs every day, and it's not that easy, because now you have lost a huge money. Now you come to ground reality. So that is the positive effect. That is what he's trying to, author is telling, that now it has beaten you like anything. It has, like, put you in your place. It is trying to teach you a nice lesson. No, all your dream, all your, thinking that, this is fantastic. Now you have to question, you will start questioning whether should I continue the trade because I've lost all the money. Should I continue the trade or not? This is what, this is when they will break that cycle of, carefree. With respect to your development, the how of their transformation is not that important, because in most cases it happened inadvertently. In other words, they were not completely aware of the shifts that were taking place inside their mental environment until they experienced the positive effects their new perspective had on the ways in which they interacted with the market. This is why very few top traders can really explain what accounts for their success, except to speak in axioms like cut your losses and go with the flow. What is important is that you understand it is completely possible to think the way the professionals do and to trade without fear, even though your direct experience as a trader would argue otherwise. So now the professional traders, they would have come into this particular, they would have broken this particular cycle. Okay. But how they would have broken? Because of such huge blows they would have received, and they have actually their mental environment would have been changed, right? Now, because they will know now. If you then they will start going to the zone, but if you ask them how they went to the zone, they will be like, cut your losses and go with the flow. But whatever we might be doing this, we might not be doing this, but it will, because we have to understand that this is what how the professional traders think, because they have taken responsibility and they accept the risk. When the loss happens, they tell it's a loss, it's a loss, let's go for the next trade. That is how they actually tell to themselves. But they tell, cut your losses, they tell, right? But they don't tell it like that, accept the risk. It's they tell it as cut your losses, and they tell let us go with the flow, right? So, and we might have so that is how they might have developed inadvertently, because they would have had a huge blow in their loss, and then when they will stop being reckless, and they will understand that they were uh, reckless and all these things. Now we are going to start zeroing in on how exactly we can align our mental environment in order to accept the risk and function. Like now he's trying to tell about the secret. So he said some belief right here about his, and he said that you just have to simply accept the risk, right? That is one thing he said here. Learn to accept the risk, and he's trying to tell that I'm going to set up beliefs. Here he's trying to tell what is that belief, I think. Now we are going to start zeroing in on how exactly we can align our mental environment in order to accept the risk and function like a professional trader. Most of what I have discussed up to this point was designed to get you ready to the real work. I'm going to teach you a thinking strategy that has at its core a firm belief in probabilities and edges. With this new thinking strategy, you'll learn how to create a new relationship with the market, one that disassociates your trading from what it typically means to be wrong or to lose, and that precludes you from perceiving anything about the market as threatening. When the threat of pain is gone, the fear will correspondingly disappear, as will the fear-based errors you are susceptible to. You will be left with a mind that is free to see what is available and to act on what you see. Getting to this carefree, fearless state of mind, in spite of being burned over and over again, will take some work. But it is not going to be so difficult as you may think. In fact, by the time you have finished reading this book, most of you will be amazed at how simple the solutions to your problems are. So the author is trying that now I'm going to tell you the secret, the technique. He said that so far I've been doing build up so that you understand. You basically he's preparing us for the next secret. He's still doing the same thing. He's telling that you will create a new relationship with the market. You will basically disassociate with the when whatever happened, and you will know finally when the pain is gone, and you will stop making errors. So, and by the end of this book, you will actually you will understand that how simple it is to fix all these problems. In many respects, a state of mind or perspective is like a software code. You could have several thousand lines of perfectly written code with only one flawed line, and in that one flawed line, there might be only one character out of place. Depending on the purpose of the software and where that flaw is in relation to everything else, that one misplaced character could ruin the performance of an otherwise perfectly written system. You see, the solution was simple. Fix the misplaced character and everything runs smoothly. However, finding the error or even knowing it exists in the first place can take considerable expertise. So, the author is telling that your state of mind is like software code. So, there will be entire lines and lines of code which people write, but and it could be perfectly well, but suddenly, randomly, somewhere, someplace, some line, some character will actually be flawed. Okay, and because of that, it will bring down the entire software, it will bring down the entire system. Okay, no, and otherwise the system was beautiful, was supposed to be beautiful, but it failed because of that particular thing. So now other thing is fix that misplaced character, right? Simple. Fix that misplaced character, it's very smooth. It will start running. Fix the bug, it will start running smooth. But the problem is finding the error, or even knowing it exists in the first place can take considerable expertise. So this is what author is telling. For someone to tell, for something to tell that it is wrong, you should know, you should know where it is happening, where the wrong is happening. That is one thing. But before that, you have to first acknowledge that this is something wrong. Unless you acknowledge, you won't even find what is wrong, right? So, and for that, you need some expert, right? So when it comes to ideal training mentality, everybody is a certain psychological distance away. In other words, virtually everyone starts out with flawed software code. I use terms like clicks or degrees to indicate psychological distance, but these terms do not imply a specific distance. So for example, many of you will find that you are 1D, let us say, one click away in perspective from the ideal mindset. Okay. That one click could represent one or two erroneous or misplaced assumptions you have about the nature of trading. As you reflect upon some of the ideas present in the book, your perspective may shift. To use the analogy of software code, that shift would be equivalent to finding the flawed line in your mental system and replacing it with something that works perfectly. So here the author is telling, when we start, psychologically, we are all far away. We don't have that expertise when we start, and we all start with some flawed software code. Okay, and but when as we start reading this book, right, and we will start, moving little bit, finding towards finding that where the error is happening. So that is what your our perspective will shift, and then we will slowly go towards one by one towards fixing that particular problem in our mental system. Okay, finding the equivalent to finding the flawed line in the mental system. People normally describe this kind of internal mental shift as an aha experience, or the moment when the light goes on. Everyone has had these kind of experiences, and there are some common qualities associated with them. First, we usually feel different. The word even seems different, as if it had suddenly changed. Typically, we might say at the moment of the breakthrough something like, why did not you tell me this before? Or it was right in front of me the whole time, but I just didn't see it. Or it is so simple, why could not I see it? Another interesting phenomenon of the aha experience is that sometimes within moments, although the amount of time can vary, we feel as if this new part of our identity has always been a part of who we are. It then becomes difficult to believe that we were ever the way we were before we had the experience. In short, you may already have some awareness of how much of what you need to know to be a consistently successful trader. But being aware of something that doesn't automatically make it functional part of who you are. Awareness is not necessarily a belief. You cannot assume that learning about something new and agreeing with it is the same as believing it at a level where you can act on it. So after you read this book, and what will happen, we go to a moment of aha, right? And he explains more about the aha moments. And but important thing is, just because we become aware doesn't mean that we are acting on that, right? So sometimes we might you may be aware of our thought, but we will not fix it because we are not uh, awareness is not necessarily a belief. Okay, so just because I know that I'm taking a lot of revenge trades, uh, and I increase the stop loss or something like that, does not mean that we will simply try to avoid to no, I am not a revenge trader. We will not acknowledge it. We will tell that, it's like it's one, we'll dismiss it. That's what he's trying to tell. Take the example of my client who is afraid of snakes. He is certainly aware that not all snakes are dangerous, and that learning how to make a distinction between the ones that are dangerous and the ones that are not would not be difficult. Will learning how to make these distinctions suddenly cause him not to be afraid of non-dangerous snakes? Can we assume that his awareness will drop down to a level in his mental environment where he can now interact with snakes without fear or immobility? No, we cannot make this assumption. His awareness that some snakes are not dangerous and his fear of snakes can exist side by side in his mental environment as a contradiction to each other. You could confront him with a snake and he might readily acknowledge that he knows the snake is not dangerous and would not hurt him. But at the same time, he would still find it extremely difficult to touch the snake even if he wanted to. Does this mean that he is doomed to be afraid of snakes for the rest of his life? Only if he wants to be. It's really a matter of willingness. It's certainly possible to neutralize his fear, but he will have to work at it. And working at anything requires sufficient motivation. Many of us have what we know to be irrational fears and simply choose to live with the contradiction because we don't want to go through the emotional work that is necessary to overcome the fear. So, this is a fantastic two paragraphs. So, he connects with the snake friend who is afraid of snakes. And he says that although the friend is aware that not all snakes are poisonous, he's still scared of snakes. So at one particular point, he knows that some snakes are not poisonous, but still he will not go near those snakes because uh, he does not trust, right? So can he fix it for life? Will he be like this for the entire life? He can be or he need not be. If he wants to change, if he is willing to change, he should be ready to fight all those things. He should go through all the he should have that motivation to fix all these things. And but just like that, this guy, how he has an irrational fear, although he knows that not all snakes are poisonous, we also have our own irrational fears, and we simply live with it because we don't want to go through that effort. We don't want to overcome the fear. In this example, the contradiction is obvious. So in the snake example, he's telling it's very obvious, right? However, in my many years of working with traders, I have uncovered several typical contradictions and conflicts surrounding the issues of risk and responsibility, where holding two or more conflicting beliefs can easily cancel out your positive intentions, no matter how motivated you are to be successful. The problem is that none of these contradictions are really obvious, at least not at a first glance. Contradictory beliefs, however, are not the problems, only problems. What about assertions like I am a risk taker? The traders typically assume have dropped down to the functional level of belief when in fact the underlying dynamics of the way they perceive the market indicates that they are doing everything possible to avoid risk. So these are all the things. Just like how the snake guy knows that he's not all snakes are poisonous, but he's hesitating to go near the snake, which is not poisonous. We also have, we will tell that we are a risk taker, but fundamentally inside we will be, we'll try to avoid the risk. So, and and in the trading world, he's telling that, because of these kind of contradictions, it will actually prevent us to be successful. So contradictory beliefs and non-functional awareness represent flawed mental software code that destroys your ability to stay focused and accomplish your goals, code that makes it seem as if you simultaneously have one foot on the accelerator and the other on the brake, code that gives you learning how to trade a mysterious quality that will be challenging in a fun way at first, but usually turns into pure unadulterated exasperation. So yeah. Okay, so it is like, when we have contradictory beliefs, we actually we are it destroys our ability to stay focused and it will prevent us from accomplishing our goal. So it's like having accelerator on one leg and the brake on the other. So it's like the car is shouting a lot, but it's not moving, right? And and the trading supposed to be fun, but actually we get tired. When I was in college in the late 1960s, one of my favorite movies was Cool Hand Luke, starring Paul Newman. It was a very popular movie back then, so I'm sure some of you might have seen it on late night TV Luke, as was in Georgia Chain Gang. After he escaped and was caught for the second uh, time, the warden and guards were determined not to let Luke make fools of them a third time. So, while forcing him to do an inordinate amount of work with no rest and giving him intermittent beatings, they kept asking, "Have you got your mind right yet, Luke?" Eventually, after considerable suffering, Luke finally told the prison bosses that he had his mind right. They said that if he did not and tried to escape again, they would kill him for sure. Of course, Luke attempted another escape, and true to their word, the gods killed him. Like Luke, many traders, whether they realize it or not, are trying to have it their way by beating the market. As a result, they get financially and emotionally killed. There are easier, infinitely more satisfying ways of getting what you want from the market. But first, you have to be willing to get your mind right. Yeah, fantastic. So, the author here, you have to, the secret is you have to align your mental environment, and you have to, author is trying to confront ourselves, acknowledge ourselves, tell to ourselves that we are responsible, we have to take risk. I mean, there is a risk involved, accept that risk. We will make a our trades will fail. There will be losing trades, and he's telling that if you don't accept that, if you try to avoid that, we will keep uh, we'll keep getting killed. That is what is happening. We keep fighting the market will kill us for sure. So he's asking us to get our mind right. So today it's good we completed the entire chapter. I think it's a small chapter maybe. Yeah, but I'm happy that we completed the entire chapter today. So we can go with the next chapter tomorrow. So with this, we end today's session. It's almost 8. We have 1 hour session. So I hope it was useful for you guys. And
yes, definitely, it's very wonderful.
Yes. So
It's everything is in the mindset.
correct. So the author says about the mindset, it's good, and it helps me also connect with some of my experiences. Fine. I think we are done for the day. Anything else you all want to share? Feel free to.
Nothing as such.
Awesome. Fine. Then we'll end for the day. I'll upload this. I think I missed you. My last class, I did not upload it. I'll upload that as well and share it in YouTube. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you guys for participating. Much appreciated. Helps me a lot. Keeps me motivated. I hope it was useful for you guys as well.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.